The second quarter final this weekend that we're going to discuss is the Rapparees against Naomh Eanna, and it looks like it could be a very close game on paper anyway, Conor, but games aren't played on paper, they're played in Wexford Park the weekend. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a 50-50 game, Peter, in my eyes. I think the Raps they're very comfortable in how they play. They like to work the ball out of defence, particularly Liam Ryan coming out of defence. We found out that he came up the field in the first half and got 3 unbelievable points, and he lifts the lads around him. And then in the second half, I think with Kevin Foley, he moved inside, and he's midfield 1 minute, he's in the forwards the next, and I think he just re-energised the Raps in the second half, whereas we were in a winnable position in that game. We were 21 points to 19, and the Raps just moved Kevin inside, a couple of little tweaks, and 10 or 15 minutes later we were well behind, and I think they beat us by 7 or 8 points, but I don't.
Isn't it great from the Raps' point of view to have a player like Kevin Foley that if they're struggling in the backs they can move him back, if they're struggling in the forwards they can move him up, and like they did against you?
Oh, look, he's an unbelievable player. I think he's a leader for the Raps. I think when he got going, I think the rest of the lads from the Raps got going as well. I think when he was middle of the field, maybe he was a bit impatient that he wasn't getting on the ball, and I think just going inside, and the Raps' delivery improved, and he just he kicked Lenny Connolly a bit into gear, and look, it'll be interesting to see what way Gorey set up against them. Look at the Raps when they're in full flight. I looked at their first match again, Rathnure as well, and they got some great scores, and they have Anto Larkin in the goal as well, who can take long range frees. Ryan Mann can take them, and they're not just Kevin Foley and Liam Ryan. Alan Tobin is a fine hurler. He's an intercounty footballer, but he's a big player for the Raps as well, and he's going to take mine in the weekend as well.
And you played Gorey earlier, or Naomh Eanna as I was told to call them yesterday.
Yes.
You played Naomh Eanna yesterday, or not yesterday,
in the second round,
weeks ago. And what do you think of them?
Yeah, we played Naomh Eanna in the second round. Personally, for me, they were the best team that we played in the group stage. Great players all over the field. Just when you think you're holding up maybe Conor McDonald or whoever, somebody else pops up. They're racking up great scores. Their defence, I must say, I know they've great forwards on paper, but their defence are really strong too. They were very strong against us that day. We had a man sent off, but look, there was nothing we could really do on the day. They just fired shots from all over, and everything stuck. Everything went over the black spot. Out of all of the quarterfinals, this is the one that I'm most looking forward to. I think it's going to be very close. We've played the Raps down through the years. They're a great side. We were talking about Kevin Foley, but look, they've great players too all over the field. I think it's going to be a great game. It's going to be on paper, and looking at it, it should be very close.
And you were obviously very close to beating the Rapparees in last year's quarter final.
We were, yeah, and look at the Raps went on, and they were very unfortunate to lose their semi-final, so they'll be looking to make amends for that. And I can see them putting absolutely everything to this game. So yeah, it's going to be a close one. Yeah.
Your thoughts on Gorey then, Conor, and we'll get your prediction after that.
Yeah, Gorey the last 2 years have started off the championship in real good fashion, and midway through the group stage they seem to be fizzling out a small bit. I know they beat Glenbarntown last week, but in between lost to the Martins, which could happen to any side, and lost yesterday evening again the end. So look, they're going to be looking to re-kick themselves into gear for the weekend, and as I said, there's no second chances anymore. This is the quarter-finals, knockout hurling, and whichever side wins is going to take huge confidence going into a semi-final. I think Gorey will be looking how can they get Conor McDonald more involved in the game. I think some of the games I've seen, he hasn't maybe been as involved as maybe he'd like to be, but he's still probably one of the most dangerous forwards in Wexford, that if he can get his hand on the ball and bring the rest of the Gorey lads like Cathal Dunbar, you've Jack Dorn, Jack Cullen, they've serious potential. And even probably the move of the championship probably has been the position of Charlie McGuckin back to wing back, I think he's been unbelievable in any game I've seen Gorey play. I think he's just driving Gorey forward and he's winning ball and he's tackling, but it's a seriously hard game to call the weekend.
One thing you mentioned there was about Gorey faltering a little bit in the group stages. One feature of your team, Conor, was, I'd say the great Oulart team was that even when you were top of the group or already guaranteed or throughout the group stages, you generally tended to win all your games. Is that something that teams would benefit a little bit more from, maybe fully focusing on every single game, or in the current format is it better to rest players and maybe take the foot off the pedal a little bit given the way the format is?
Yeah, look, every team is different. You could have teams carrying knocks and niggles that a lot of teams wouldn't know about, but probably for us years ago was probably the level of competition for places that you knew going out every day that if you weren't performing there was someone going to come in and potentially take your jersey, so you couldn't take your foot off the gas any day you went out to play. And I think particularly with management standards that we had in place, that there was no let up, no matter who you were playing, it was treat them with respect and go out and try and beat them as best you could. But no, look at the current format. I think it's inevitably you're going to have lads with knocks, niggles. You're going to have probably lads playing with injuries, little strains and stuff. But it's just the way it is, and you just have to make the best of it as you can, really.
Would you have any big thoughts on that?
Yeah,
one?
look, personally I'd approach it with a point of view of winning every game you can, even if you are through. Now, I know Gorey might have rested a few the other day. It'll either be a great tactical move or it could be maybe one of the worst moves they've pulled this year, in that they've lost their last game. They'll be going into this one with a loss and they'll be trying to pick up the pieces, but then again they could win, and it could be down to the fact that the players were well rested and coming back with energy and focus. So look, time will tell. But for me, I'm going to give Gorey the tip on that one. I just think from playing them that day with the Harriers and from seeing them in their games, they're the team on paper and they're the team on form in Championship.
And you're going for Conor?
I'm going to go for the Raps by a point or two. I think Gorey potentially have some injury doubts, and if the likes of maybe I think Keane Malloy is a doubt, Owen Malloy hasn't played a match or two, I think they're big players for Gorey, and I think Cottle Stokes is out as well, who was performing fairly well for Gorey. So I think if they're not playing, I'd just give the nod to the Raps by a point or two.
Yeah, and I'm going to make it 2-1 to the Raps, but I do think it, like Conor and Alex have said, I think it'll be a very close game. A very tough one to call, but it certainly should be a very entertaining one.